Hey guys, Grimaldo here from the Y Factor. And today we're going to talk about something completely different, kind of out of the realm of urology. And so, every day I see guys coming in here complaining of fatigue. And from our perspective, from our specialty, we usually do, hormone evaluation, looking for low T. But one of the things that sort of came up in our radar nowadays is actually the evaluation of sleep. And so I think most of us, men especially, can relate to the fact that we probably don't get the ideal amount of time or sleep that we need, whether we're pulling all-nighters, things are busy, running around. What we're here to tell you is that sleep is one of the most important factors or culprits that are contributing to your concerns with fatigue. And it has to be tied into our full evaluation outside of just a low testosterone. Now, what's crazy to think is that statistically, what they say is that roughly about 80% of men with obstructive airway disease are not diagnosed, okay? And the reason to that is pretty easy. We are non-compliant. We don't like going to the doctors, right? And a lot of guys don't go directly seeking a sleep doctor or a pulmonologist or say, hey, I want to get a sleep study done, all right? It's primarily more so for other reasons, sexual dysfunction, you got performance issues, fatigue issues. But the Y Factor is in this unique position where we have these guys making the effort to come in, but we got to do our job as providers to say, hey, listen, I know that sleep is not in our realm, but it's something that we have to look into. So with that, right, we're gonna do something called a sleep study. Now, sleep study is pretty important, okay? And most guys say, hey, I sleep pretty well, I wake up, I feel okay. Or there's guys where situations where, hey, I wake up, I didn't feel like I slept at all. I felt like I woke up and I have a headache. But believe it or not, what we've been able to do here at the Y Factor is make things simple for you, okay? So most of the time when we order a sleep study, guys would have to go to a lab, get hooked up to a bunch of wires and say, hey, go ahead and sleep in this lab so we can find out what's going on. And obviously no guy's gonna do that, okay? I've had a high rate of non-compliance, I wanna say probably zero, right, that actually completed the test. So here at the Y Factor, we'll make it simple for you. What we'll do is we'll send you home with a sleep study machine. It is FDA approved, and you wear it. It's like an Apple Watch, a little bit of a sensor hooked up to your finger and one lead chest here. And what would happen is that you just sleep the way you normally do. You don't cheat it. I ordered this on my dad and he goes, hey man, I'm gonna take a bunch of Benadryl so I can give you a good test. I'm like, don't do that, okay? So what happens is that you just wear this, you wake up in the morning, you go on your app, submit the results, and we are able to pinpoint and identify if you truly have obstructive airway disease. Now, what are we looking at when we do this test? Well, there's several things. Number one, your true hour of sleep, meaning to say that how long do you actually get true sleep? Okay, that's pretty important because you could lay down for 10 hours, but what if you only slept for about 5? Okay, the other part about it too is what we call the REM, right? The dream state, the deepest part of sleep. But this is where all the repairs and the regeneration happens, and it kind of resets everything in your body. And that's very important because if guys are not staying in that deep part of sleep, you're kind of laying down with your eyes closed, but you're still technically awake. Okay, and then on top of that, you have what we call your hypopnea index score, and that is what gives you the categories to whether or not you have mild, moderate to severe obstructive airway disease. And of course, the last thing that we'll look at is what we call your oxygen saturation. Now that's pretty important because most of us on a room air, right, with no oxygen should be breathing anywhere between 98, 99, even 100%. And some of these results are pretty impressive in the sense of the fact that, wow, I have to tell some of my guys that when you sleep on your back, did you know your oxygen saturation is dropping down below 90%? That is like you holding your breath while you're wide awake. And now I know that happens maybe, certain seconds or minutes at a time, but add that up, right? Eventually all creates some problems later down the road. So at the end of the day, sleep is one of the things we truly have to focus on and look at. And believe it or not, once we identify those issues, everything else should fall into place. So get your sleep study done here with us at the Y Factor.